More than 200 students miss out on exams due to ethnic clashes. Lae Secondary mourned the death of 2 students killed in a road accident. And the Barramundis knocked out of the South Australian Premier League.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
A very good evening to you and welcome to another working week. It's good to have your company again. 243 grade 10 students at Hohola Youth Demonstration College in Port Moresby did not sit for their mock exams today. School principal Anthony Swami says students were turned away because of an ethnic clash near the school premises at the Hohola suburb this morning. A mock exam for grade 8 students at Sacred Heart Primary School, also in the area, was suspended.
Both schools turned away students this morning. A mock exam for grade 8 students at Sacred Heart Primary School was suspended. Also, the grade 10 students at Hohola Youth Demonstration College have missed out on the first day of mock exams. They will sit for the national exam later this month. Principal Anthony Swami says the students were turned away because of an ethnic clash this morning near the school premises.
I didn't want to take a risk of the lives of the students, so I told them, I organized them. I said, it's not safe for us to be here, so you go home. They're supposed to sit for the exam 9 o'clock today, so all those exams are affected. So many parents are calling us and asking us what's happening, what are they going to do. Actually, there's a mock exam for them, it's not a national exam. They're going to sit for the national exam after 2 weeks.
The fight this morning was between 2 warring tribes that resulted in 3 houses being burnt and several sustaining injuries. The fight started over the weekend.
I see so many people carrying the arrow and homemade guns, and I wasn't happy with that.
The ethnic clash has not gone down well with city authorities, and City Governor Powes Pakop and the police hierarchy have condemned the fight.
For me as Governor, I want to condemn that type of action. Use of violence is no longer acceptable in the city or in the country.
So it calls for a lot of change in our mindset. If you want to come and live in the city, you've got to conform with the requirements of what is expected of you in the city.
The situation is still tense. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
The National Capital District Commission and Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary today signed a memorandum of understanding to lift the ban on reservists in NCD. They now have similar powers as regular police officers. A total of 150 reservists will be deployed in the city.
The reservist unit started their duties today. Police Commissioner Gary Baki said NCD needs reservist presence to ensure security and safety of the city and the people are well looked after when there is no police presence. They will operate on their own but will be supervised by NCD Command. The reservist will be deployed to areas where their presence is needed.
You know that the reserve police officer has every power similar to a regular member of the constabulary. That's why it's very, very important that we are emphasizing on the need to make sure that their powers are not abused.
The reservist unit was banned after much complaint from the public of their actions and behaviors. However, NCD Governor Powes Pakop said the Commission is trying its best to control the negativity.
We don't judge the performance of our reserve police or regular police too, for that matter, by just one incident or 2 incidents. Let's look at a bigger picture. When the reserve police were here, they were high level of security in the bus stop, in the shopping malls, in the marketplace. Petty crimes went down.
Our PNGC will issue the unit firearms and will only be used when there is a need. Mr. Baki said that those who are properly trained to handle firearm will be the ones to handle them. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
Lae Secondary School Principal Christopher Raymond has called on authorities to investigate and prosecute those responsible for the killing of 2 female students. On Saturday, 2 Lae Secondary School female students were killed after being hit by a car. Witnesses at the scene say the driver of the vehicle was drunk. Saturday's fatal incident brings to attention the need for tougher traffic laws on drink driving and routine checkups by traffic police. EMTV's Bethany Harriman with this report.
This morning, a school is dealing with the loss of 2 grade 12 students with exams only weeks away. On Thursday, they had a funeral at the school for a grade 12 male student who died of natural causes. The school now has 3 grade 12 students gone in the space of 2 weeks.
As a school itself also, we are really not in a proper state of mind, if I can say, because we just lost a grade 12 student male a week ago, buried on Friday, and on Saturday we have this tragic but horrific death.
For the 2 girls killed by the car, Principal Christopher Raymond says the school's closely knitted community is calling for action. They want tougher laws on drink driving, more police presence on roads, and those responsible for the deaths investigated and punished.
And I'm speaking especially on behalf of the 2 girls that are from my school. It is so much on them. So, apart from the appropriate authorities stepping up on what they're supposed to be doing on checking up on drunk driving, those that are responsible must be held responsible.
The classrooms where the girls sat remains quiet this morning, their absence felt by their teachers and friends.
She is receptive to advice and all this.
Class teacher Esther Ehava describes the girls as sensible students who could do tasks independently, listen to advice and ask for it when needed.
What I told the students was that regardless of whatever situation they are in, they have to be strong. We have to pray and ask God to strengthen us and comfort us so that we can be able to get through this week in preparation for the exam next week.
Teachers fear the psychological stress on the grade 12 students and have arranged for a counselor. Saturday's incident has gripped Lae City with such intensity, calling for high-level attention. A driver, understood to be drunk, ran over 4 women, including a mother with her baby. They were a family walking on Lae's Cassia Crescent Road. The baby and mother survived. The mother's leg had to be amputated to save her life. The bodies of 2 young women at the scene were separated from the torso. The pictures too horrific to show. Police officers who inspected the vehicle said there was evidence of drink driving. Eyewitnesses said the car was traveling at high speeds. 4 women were hit by the car on Saturday. 3 of them were killed. 2 of them were Lae Secondary School students. Everyone that we've spoken to has expressed anger and frustration that a drunken man was allowed to drive the vehicle. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Lae.
A 3-man bench panel has been appointed by Chief Justice Sir Salamo Injia to investigate the member for Vanimo Green Hope in Beldanama on allegations of misconduct in office. Justice Goodwin Poole has been appointed tribunal chairman and senior magistrates Mark Selef Kariu and Ernest Wilmot as members. The member is facing 15 allegations relating to matters including failure and late lodgements of annual returns to the Office of the Ombudsman Commission, failure to lodge financial returns to the Office of the Integrity of Political Parties and Candidates Commission, misapplication of public funds and failure to pay personal debts. The tribunal will commence its inquiry on Friday, the 23rd of October in Courtroom 7 of the Waigani National Court. Well, cocoa rehabilitation in East New Britain, also cocoa seedlings for Madang, and a rural bridge linking Jimmy, Barnes and Mount Hagen. Details of those stories plus more when we come back. Stay with us. Good to have you back with National EMTV News. The cocoa industry in East New Britain province is expected to make a comeback after the cocoa pod borer infestation that almost crumbled the industry. Ongoing partnership between donor agencies and agriculture institutions has put smallholder cocoa farmers at a better position to regain their main income source. EMTV's Edwin Fidelis reports.
At Tagi-Tagi village, just a few kilometers outside of Kokopo town, is one of the few cocoa nurseries producing hybrid clone seedlings tolerant to the cocoa pod borer. It is a joint rehabilitation exercise initiated by the Productive Partnership in Agriculture project of the World Bank and the Tagi-Tagi Cocoa Farmers Cooperative that seeks to bring back the cocoa industry to its feet.
Workload rehabilitating before existing cocoa blocks now. CPB Kambakarapin. So we are not planting new areas, we are just trying to rehabilitate the existing farms.
Since the arrival of the cocoa disease, agriculture institutions and donor agencies have put their heads together to rescue the fallen industry, and until recently, their effort got ovations from the farmers.
And now me member come now law cooperative now. I'm now only giving me 200 cacao pennies and me planning pennies.
In the 1990s, East New Britain was a top cocoa producing region in the country, contributing over 25,000 tons to the total cocoa export for Papua New Guinea. But when the cocoa pod borer came, it brought the industry to its knees and spurred a noticeable drop in income earning of every household.
Na mi hat pok long katimol all palakakao me seki bagarati.
Over the years, farmers have given up hope of cocoa farming. They abandoned their cocoa blocks and have switched to farm alternative cash crops. But the ongoing support and new technologies and innovations coming from agriculture institutions are slowly restoring confidence in cocoa farming. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Madang MP Nixon Duban has plans to distribute 1 million cocoa seedlings to ward councils in the Madang urban electorate. The launch of the project was witnessed and supported by Agriculture Minister Tommy Tomskol and 2 other members of the ruling People's National Congress. MTV's Rachel Shise reports from Madang.
The check of 1 million kina aimed at providing 500,000 cocoa seedlings already presented to the Cocoa Board. The Cocoa Board will be throwing in another 1 million kina as instructed by the Agriculture Minister, Tommy Tomskol, for the Madang District cocoa growers. The launching of the event took place at the Gonoa village in the Transkogol LRG, where people from all around the area came in numbers to witness the event.
One block word by kissing 10,000 cacao seedlings.
The Madang MP also announced that the production from these much cocoa trees can enable the people to access international markets to export their cocoa.
Mibla by talk strong also, Mibla not like a middleman. Now cacao Madang, Mibla like exporting direct long international markets.
The Agriculture Minister, Tommy Tomskol, further clarified to the people that having international market access is not a problem if they work together and produce to meet the required volume.
When I'm something by stopping you, and time you know boom now walk one time. You must come up in volume, long exporting.
The event was also witnessed by other members of the People's National Congress Party as an act of solidarity. Rachel Shise, National EMTV News, Madang.
More than 5,000 people on the other side of the Pind River in Lower Jimmy will now have access to services in Barnes and Mount Hagen. After using cane bridges for the first time, a modern bridge will serve this population. A Bailey Bridge costing 2 million kina is ready to be constructed by the PNG Defence Force Engineering Battalion engineers. The project is funded through Jimmy District's Services Improvement Program funds. MTV's Michelle Amba reports from Mount Hagen.
Pind River separates 12 council wards from the rest of Jimmy and is in Lower Jimmy Jiwaka province. The people here are closer to Madang province and therefore their culture is different from the Wagi culture. In order to get to Mbegema, the last village on this side of Pind, the road is not so smooth and usually takes hours. The people here are closer to Madang, however there are no roads linking these places. Over the weekend, the people of Lower Jimmy celebrated a new beginning, a new bridge. This will address many struggles.
Kind life long bridge, lo warapin, you know that one bridge, permanent bridge, before since law independence, it coming up now 40 years, it go finish.
Same time, Ibra ino korombanzi. Igo silibro na mele road bagrap Ibra say sim spade na walk one time Ibra say igo.
Jimmy MP Maidop, Medellin Governor Jim Carlson, Transport Minister and Haugen Open Member William Duma were the guests on Saturday. The member for Jimmy said road and bridges would take precedence over other services in Jimmy because this will allow for access to other services.
Road and bridges finish long. Tomorrow you talk long. Human resources one something you better talk long. EMSA come through once la road progress taso. Sabasino got road by million of looking service. Million Kenai concert long one district every year. And working possible long planting district inside the country all in looking service and development plan.
The people of Lower Jimmy have many struggles. Their greatest impediment is better road condition to reach main centers. The bridge is expected to be completed by the end of this year. However, there are many other areas like health, education and access to markets which the people are yet to see. Michelle Amba, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill is frustrated with bureaucratic red tape that has stalled progress on the expansion of the Port Moresby sewerage system. The project was signed 18 years ago with the Japanese government, but nothing has come out of it. The Japanese government will provide funds for the project costing 206.5 million kina. O'Neill plans to sign the final documents of the project during an official state visit to Japan this week.
We are still talking about that today with the Japanese government. We are not assisted by our bureaucratic red tape in getting that program together. How many people we have said it is not helping. So rather than just waiting for that sewerage program to come through, we are starting to roll this out. So in the meantime, our people can continue to have services. But for the long term, we will roll out. I am going to Japan on the invitation of the Japanese Prime Minister for a state visit starting next Wednesday. We are going to make sure that we sign the final documents that is going to expand the sewerage system to the Motokota villages over the next few years.
And now let's check out the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3470 in the interbank market today. And at Bank South Pacific, our kina was trading at $0.3395 $0.4607 Australian dollars, $0.2953 euro, and 40.47 Japanese yen. Taking a look at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee and cocoa closed the day higher, while copper closed the day lower. Palm oil, copper and crude oil all closed the day higher. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 34 points lower, the ASX closed at 68 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 112 points higher. NMS says effective means to clear ships in PNG waters, and stories making headlines overseas. When we come back, stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Well, settlers living at the old turf club outside Port Moresby are a step closer to acquiring proper land titles. This follows the launch of the settlement's first water supply that will pave the way for other development projects. A master plan was also launched as part of the land developments at the former turf club.
Acquiring a proper land title in Port Moresby can take years, but for settlers living on this prime piece of land, their struggle to acquire the land title will soon be over. Yesterday, during the launch of the settlement's first water supply in 3 years, Moresby Northeast MP Lae Secondary made his commitment to help acquire the land title. The settlers have also taken the initiative to create a master plan for land development under their Pilgrim Residential Development Association. This, Mr. Amayu said, is the way forward for all settlers living in Port Moresby, as it will present the government a clear picture of how land will be planned and developed for residential and business purposes.
This is the process where you play taking now, subdividing, creating this master plan, the development plan, and paving way along go to next stage.
Amayu said land grabbing is becoming a problem in the city, and settlers must be smart when dealing with land.
So this area, by me making the masterpiece, by me making proper subdivision, land demarcation here, so that you one man marry Time you settle there, you la move, go out, or you la sell him, or you la kiss him loud, you can get title that can guarantee you.
Chairman of the association, Dominic Mellin, said the launching of the water project is a sign of hope for the settlers.
The land that we settle here, we have genuine Papua New Guineans. And one of the things that we did today is the launching. And we just don't want to become another settlement. That's why we ask for proper development, subdivisions, so that these things can take place. We want to be different, not the same thing happening in here all over the country, where especially the cities are. People just go and settle all over the place. Portions are not divided, and it's very hard for people to obtain title because they're really unorganized.
Stanley Ovett Jr., National EMTV News.
The amount of time spent on the clearance of ships and maritime vessels continues to be an issue for ship owners and operators in PNG. This issue was discussed today at the National Seminar on Facilitation of Maritime Traffic hosted by the National Maritime Safety Authority in consultation with the International Maritime Organization. The seminar looked at using electronic means as a single window concept for the clearance of ships within PNG waters.
The three-day national seminar on facilitation of maritime traffic, which began today, is an opportunity to discuss PNG's access to the Fall Convention or the Convention of Facilitation of International Maritime Traffic. The Fall Convention facilitates maritime transport by reducing paperwork and making the formalities, document requirements and procedures simpler for the arrival, stay and departure of ships engaged on international voyages. Today's seminar was attended by ship owners, operators and agents who agreed that clearance of maritime vessels is a lengthy process with responsible authorities requiring various different documents.
They have different papers, and sometimes it's now which we are here for facilitation. So if we have that electronic facilitation, so it's a lot easier for the ship owners to start discharging their cargo.
Currently, getting clearance from customs, health, quarantine, port authorities and fisheries authorities can be costly.
The time is money for the vessels.
The IMO wants to assist PNG get access to the Fall Convention, which incorporates all activities related to the use of a single window concept to facilitate trade and commerce using maritime transport, which will benefit many of the participants.
NMS have to initiate all this. They had to invite all these parties involved with clearance, outward and inward, whatever. So it's make easier for ship owners.
The seminar continues tomorrow. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, the US has once again slammed China's human rights record in an annual report released last week. China's foreign ministry dismissed the report, saying it embraces a persistent bias in order to make irresponsible remarks about China's domestic affairs. Human rights have long been a source of tension between the world's two largest economies, with China criticizing the US in June about violating human rights in other countries. China's human rights criticism by the US is particularly connected to the brutal crackdown of protesters in Beijing's Tiananmen Square in 1989. Thousands of Chinese university students began their sit-in protest, demanding democracy and transparency from the communist government. Soldiers were deployed, subsequently killing up to 1,000 protesters after they defiantly maintained their stance. The U.S. Congressional Executive Commission on China says it has a disturbing deterioration in human rights that pose a direct challenge to U.S.-China relations.
This report has nothing new, embraces a persistent bias in order to make irresponsible remarks about China's domestic affairs, and makes criticisms that don't accord with reality. China's 1.3 billion people have the greatest authority to pass judgment, so I hope you can go and see for yourselves and chat with Chinese people and tell US legislators, officials and the public the real human rights situation in China and get them to be more objective towards China and truly understand it.
In June, China released its own report accusing the US of being haunted by spreading guns and racial discrimination in its annual tit-for-tat rebuttal to U.S. criticism. In a lengthy report, China said the U.S. violated human rights in other countries in a more brazen manner and was given more red cards in the international human rights field. But recent events in China paint a different picture. Under President Xi Jinping, China is conducting what activists say is the worst domestic crackdown on human rights in 2 decades. Close to 1,000 rights activists were detained last year, nearly as many in the previous 2 years combined, according to the Chinese Human Rights Defenders, a coalition of Chinese and international NGOs. China has long argued that it is unfairly singled out for criticism of its rights record and says other governments should examine their own records before making accusations. And in Australia, hundreds of anti-racism protesters faced off with anti-Islam proponents on Saturday over plans to build a mosque in a rural town. Witnesses say it's the latest anti-Islam protest since a Muslim teenager killed a police officer just over a week ago. The standoff stems from an ugly shooting that claimed 2 lives 10 days ago in the Sydney suburb of Parramatta. 15-year-old Fahad Khalil Mohammed Jabbar was shot and killed by police after he opened fire on police accountant Curtis Cheng on October 2nd. Right-wing activists from the United Patriots Front, opposing the spread of Islam, faced off with members of a left-wing coalition promoting tolerance in the town of Bendigo. The disputes began over plans to build a mosque in the town and has been simmering for months. One resident said Muslims had the right to a place of worship.
There are 300 Muslims living within our community who deserve a peaceful place of worship.
Police said 4 arrests were made, but all 4 were subsequently released. The Islamic Council of Victoria met with police to ensure security of Muslims, while other Muslim leaders called for unity. Meanwhile, Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull has condemned threats towards the country's Muslim community. Tokana Hasavi Jr., MTV World News. Well, National MTV News continues with True Guy Sports. That's coming up next, and we'll give you all your sporting action over the weekend right after these short messages.
True Guy Sports.
Welcome to True Guy Sports. And in rugby union, the Murrabee Hammerheads have taken out the 2015 Men's National Provincial Sevens Championships, defeating Black Orchids from the Autonomous Region of Bougainville 24 points to 15. Madang's Mad Gowns defeated Milne Bay to claim the plate, while Kimmis snatched the bowl after beating Goroka 19 points to 12. In the women's final, Spartans claimed the cup for a second time. Chiefs and Fly took out the plate and bowl respectively.
New kids on the block, Fly defeated Crusaders 20 points to 0 to secure their first title in the Women's National Championships yesterday. Chiefs thrashed Barbarians 42 points to 0 to claim the plate, while Spartans held off Dribs and Drabs 29 points to 5 to retain the cup for a second year. The men's bowl final saw Goroka Kilitoa stamp their mark in the country's history by holding off Kimbe Rebels 12 points to 0 in the first half. However, Kimbe bounced back in the second half, edging out Goroka 19 points to 12 to claim the bowl. Madang's Mad Guns claiming the plate over Milne Bay. And after defeating a star-studded East New Britain Kaya's side in the Cup semi-finals, the Murrabee Hammerheads had a tough task ahead to face favourites the Black Orchids from the Autonomous Region of Bougainville. Both sides boasted experience and flair. The Black Orchids counting on Sevens captain Hubert Charaha and Nathan Barramundis, while Hammerheads had the blaze of Puk-Puk's Paul Nelson and Sevens prospect Isaac Chandrell. In the end, the Hammerheads held off the Black Orchids 24 points to 15 to claim the cup. Skolasengi, National, MTV Sports.
Papua New Guinean Rod Griffin could be NRL bound after a stellar season with the Ipswich Jets in the 2015 Intrust Super Cup. After taking out the ISC Premiership, the Jets went on to defeat the winner of the New South Wales Cup in the curtain raiser of the 2015 NRL Grand Final.
A successful 2015 season for the Ipswich Jets has seen Papua New Guinean Rod Griffin claim the club's best and fairest award, the Alan Langer Medal. The front rower pulled on the Kumul's jersey at the 2008 Rugby League World Cup where PNG placed 5th. The Jets claimed the 2015 Intrust Super Cup Premiership after defeating the Townsville Blackhawks, then went on to defeat the Newcastle Knights in the curtain raiser for the NRL Grand Final.
Barber, he goes over the halfway. Marvin Barber pins the ears back. They're not going to catch him. Marvin goes away and scores a counter-attacking try.
Following the club's success this season, it is revealed that the club's toughest teak prop could be NRL bound. Griffin has played an instrumental part in the club's success, and now there has been talk that the lad from PNG could be NRL bound next year.
Scores for Ipswich! He's had a monster of a year, Rod Griffin, and he scores a try.
Griffin and a few other players have been under NRL club's radar, and the reality of playing in the highest level competition in rugby league for some of the players could become a reality in the near future. Dion Kombang, National, EMTV Sports.
Well, still in Rugby League, 24 men's and women's teams began competition in the Fairfax Rugby League Nines today at Port Moresby's Murray Barracks Oval. Last year's defending champions, Southern Blacks, had a tough match in Game 4 against Urban Youth Pride.
Southern Blacks, the defending champions from the last Southern Zone tournament, had a tough match against the Urban Youth Pride. Both teams went into the match hard, but a lapse in defense by the Urban Youth Pride gave the Southern Blacks their first try. Urban Youth came hard to draw in the ball to the wingers, creating numbers and scoring their first try to find both teams leveled. In the second half, Southern Blacks used their wingers more as they scored another try from the corner in the remaining 6 minutes. 8 to Urban Youth 6. After the full-time siren, the ball was still played and another try was scored by the Southern Blacks to win 12 to Urban 6. In the other match of the day, Hurricanes took on Bank 36 in an easy game, making use of their players on the field to win 18 to 6. The Fairfax Rugby League Nines will continue for 3 days at the Murray Barracks Oval. The finals will be held at the Sir John Guy Stadium this Thursday and Friday. Rafaela Kaure, National, EMTV Sports.
Well, True Guy Sports continues after this break, and the Barramundis bow out of the South Australian Premier League. Stay with us for the details.
True Guy Sports.
Good to have you back with True Guy Sports. Over to cricket. 4 international cricket legends will be in the country on Wednesday, the 14th of October. They will be here for the annual Pacific MMI Don't Drink and Drive Legends Big Bash event. MTV's Elijah Levitt reports.
England one-day international captain Adam Hollioake, former New Zealand Test cricketer and national coach Mark Greatbirch, former Australian women's Test cricketer and national coach Catherine Fitzpatrick, and former Australian Test cricketer Brad Hodge are the legends that will be arriving. During this day, there will be various events that they will be attending, including school visits, high-performance training programs, and the Pacific MMI Don't Drink and Drive Big Bash. The event aims to address the issue of rising cost of deaths in the country due to drinking whilst under the influence of alcohol. The legends will be playing alongside Barramundis and the Lawas on Friday 16th of October at Amini Park. Following the Big Bash event, Cricket PNG will be hosting the annual Pacific MMI Don't Drink and Drive Gala Dinner at Crown Plaza. Elijah Levitt, National, EMTV Sports.
Well, our cricketers have been beaten in the semi-final of the South Australian Premier League. The Barramundis lost to an Australian team, Southern Force. Barramundis were all out for 182, batting first, with the Southern Force replying with 186 for 8 to claim first innings points. MTV Shane Sawara reports.
PNG were again knocked out cheaply for 161, with the Fours cruising to their target with 8 wickets to spare. The squad now returns to Port Moresby in time for the annual Legends Big Bash event on Friday, where the special guest, former England international Adam Holyoake, former New Zealand batsman and coach Mark Greatbatch, former Australian player Brad Hodges, and ex-Australian women's international player and coach Catherine Fitzpatrick will play alongside Barramundis and Lae's players at the mini park. Shane Soroya, National, EMTV Sports.
Well, True Kai Sports wraps up on that note. We'll bring you the weather details after these short messages. Stay with us.
Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for the next 12 hours. In southern region, Port Moresby mostly fine and dry. That's the same in Daru, Kerema, Poponeta and Allentown. In Momase, Lae City, mostly fine and dry. Cloudy weather expected in Madang. Brief showers expected in Wewak, while Vanimore to look forward to mostly fine weather. In the New Guinea Islands, mostly fine expected in Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka, fine and dry in Lorengau and Kavieng. And in the Highlands region, all centres, cloudy weather. Taking a look now at forecasts for small ships, but first there is a strong wind warning current for all coastal waters and islands of Papua New Guinea, except for waters of Wewak to Vanimore and the northern PNG Indonesian border. Taking a look at waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait, Daru to Kiwai Island to Kerema, Yule Island, Hood Point, Samara Island, eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, Samara Island to Cape Bogle to Finschhafen, including Manus and its western group of islands to West New Britain, seas of 2 meters to 3 meters, waters of Finschhafen through Vitia Strait to Long Island, including Siasi Island, Dampier Strait, seas of 2.5 meters to 3 meters, and lastly waters of Madang to Bogia, including all the islands, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. And now ocean forecast for PNG areas, Coral and Solomon Sea, including the Pacific Ocean, seas rather rough with southeast winds at 20 to 25 knots with gusts exceeding 34 knots, and Bismarck Sea, seas moderate to rather rough with southeast winds at 20 to 34 knots. Now, as always, we quickly recap our main stories tonight before we go. More than 200 students miss out on exams due to ethnic clashes. Also, Lae Secondary mourned the death of 2 students killed in a road accident. And the Barramundis knocked out of the South Australian Premier League. Well, that's been the news, sports and weather tonight. From the news crew, I'm Tokana Hasavi Jr. Thanks for your company. You take care and stay happy. Good night.